the Cereal Soup Podcast.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
gets the people going.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever The Cereal Soup Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam
and Diane.
Yes, and we're here to give you potentially the tea and to expand your level of thinking via podcast.
Stay woke.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So we're going to touch bases on the impact that the Versus series have been having on the culture of hip-hop and how it has been detrimental and successful and empowering at the same time.
I think what Brother meant was detrimental and how it impacted cultural hip hop as a whole. Me personally, I'm more of like the biggest Jay-Z fan ever. Just like basketball, I'm like more of just the individual fan. So for me, every single versus thus far has been completely trash. And I'm only talking about the hip hop verses, not R&B or singing. I'm talking about like paying homage to hip hop. I mean, I know everyone went crazy over the Locks and sort of Dipset versus. I'm sorry, that shit was trash. Like, sorry. I feel like there's never been a time in my life since I've been alive and Jadakiss has been rapping that I've ever felt like he hasn't been like a really good rapper. So to see him on that stage, and of course he was like shining, I feel like he always has. But on that stage, I just felt like he was the best of the worst. And like,
well, I gotta interject right there. He carried the whole show on his back. Like he could, like, even though I'm like a diehard Dipset fan, like I love Killer Cam. I fucks with Jim Jones. I really like how Jewel's flow. It was really, they were really outmatched. Like Jada could have took them with blindfolded with his hands behind his back.
But that's exactly what I mean, why it was so trash. First of all, so this 90s rap, right? So really, like, if we are like in the mix in this room and I see this display of complete, I mean, Jim Jones was like really short, Cameron was like 12 shades darker. It was just a weird display, and I don't remember rap. Like, I just don't remember, like, bars. Like, I didn't walk away with anything but, like, a lot of confusion.
Well, mainly because freaking Dipset is more of, like, swag. Like, more of, like, swag and drip type rappers. They got bars, but I was really disappointed with them due to the fact that they was lip-syncing their lyrics. I'm like, come on, these are timeless songs. These songs have charted number ones and like single digit numbers on the charts. Like, how do you not know your lyrics? And like Jada was on every aspect of that. Like, he was on them. Like, yo, how y'all not know the lyrics to y'all songs? And I was like, damn, this is looking pretty bad. It almost made me ashamed to be a Dipset fan, but it also was something that the state of hip hop and New York needed as a whole, period. Because, you know, everything going on with the pandemic and everything, you can't really go out. You got to, like, you know, follow these guidelines and everything. Though, to see everybody at, like, Madison Square Garden for the Versus, it was like how the world is right now. It was big. It was big for what it was. It was needed, like, because, like, we grew up on the era of, like, Jay-Z, Tribe Called Quest, Busta Rhymes. So it's like the bar, like for those guys and us, the bar is already set very high. Like the bar is already like near the sky. So you would have to come with something like astronomical to like level the playing field.
Well, no, because the Locks were a part of that culture. Like, you can't say 112, you can't say Mace, you can't say Diddy without the Locks. That's all a part of that whole era. Biggie, Pac, Jay, like, just really coming into that vibe, and us really sort of introducing our generation of hip hop. We always had KSR1. We always had what's his name, Eric B. and Rakim, Tribe Called Quest, Lost Boys. Like, this was our sort of introduction and homage to rap. How we're gonna contribute. How your ages of, like, all right, what was 94? I was like 12 or 13. So this is me really getting into like hip hop. So you can't say that without the Locks. You can't say that without Jadakiss. So I already feel like he kind of already made his way in hip hop. So when people were saying, "Oh, Jada finally got his flowers," like I feel like Jada always had his flowers. I feel like when you think of hip hop, because the bar is really set high, because you have your Jay-Z not forgetting no lyric. I'll put the house on it. He not forgetting no lyric. I'm sorry. Kanye, I don't think he's forgetting the lyric. I don't think Drake is, like, and I think he for the kids. But when I already look at this sort of culture, I see this big I know. And I see like this big ideal, right? And I kind of already have a high expectation. So when I looked on that stage, it was like kind of like the Drunken Mantis. Like I saw like a bunch of drunks and burnouts looking like corny as hell with 8-ball jackets on. Like they really thought like it was like a time warp that I do not want to enter again. Like it was weird. So for me, I think Jada always had bars. Jada always flew high. He always was good. So to like put the best on the stage with like I just can't say. I didn't think that was the best of hip hop to me. I do think it was needed for the climate. I do think it definitely lifted spirits in COVID, but I think we have to be very careful of where the bar is. We can't like kind of marginalize it, and we can't like overshoot it. Like we have to keep it there because it's the rule. It's the standard, and people live by that standard, and people grew up with that standard, and a lot of people don't want that standard to change. The standard of excellence. That was not excellent. That shit was trash.
Okay, so
Mario Kart.
So with all that being said, do you think Magoo is the worst rapper to ever exist?
No, I think Vanilla Ice is the worst rapper to ever exist.
Yeah, because it was a trending tweet on Twitter that a lot of people said Magoo was it was a thread that said Magoo was the worst rapper to ever exist, and like that was the funniest thread I ever read because I have a homie, me and my homie Stove, when we be on PlayStation, he said that years ago. He was like, "Yo, Magoo is just trash." We've been saying that for years. And to see it pop up on Twitter like months after we've been said that, it was some justice. Now, honestly, I don't think he was the worst rapper to ever exist. I wouldn't put like Magoo in a bracket with like great like B-rank rappers like freaking Joel Santana, J.R. Ryder.
Wait, hold up. You said Joel Santana is a B-rap?
I like when you comparing him to like Jay, Kanye.
He's
J.
a
Cole.
D-rap. You can't put him in no bracket with Jay or nobody.
Yeah, that's why I gave him like a B rank. He's
I'm
not lower than he's not. He's
a B would be like Jay against Drake. Like a B is still a high grade.
It's a tier list. It's like a tier list. So you got like S tier.
I know what you mean. Like A1 rappers.
Higher than that. It's like a fighting game logic. Like you got S tier characters, you got A tier characters, you got B tier characters, you got C tier, and D is being like the worst of the worst. Joel's, he's B rank. I would give him B tier. Whereas S tier, you would have Jay-Z, Eminem, Lil Wayne.
But that would be game logic. When we think about actors and rappers, it's A-listers, B-listers, C-listers, D-listers, right?
But that's based on status. We talking about like on their actual talent, their actual ability to rap.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Joel Santana in no B-listers ever, like in my life.
It's
not
like,
even on a grid.
I feel you, but you gotta you can't just rate off of mainstream songs alone. Like you gotta listen to mixtapes. So if you missed out on mixtapes, that's where you.
But see, now you're creating rules. Like this thing is, there are no rules. Like we're having just open dialogue about opinion-based ideas only. We are not professionals. We're not subject matter experts. These ideas and opinions are strictly just our own thoughts in a conversation between like sister and brother. So I don't want anyone to think that we are like having any statistical data or anything like that. We're just basing it off of our own kind of experiences with rap or any subject matter that we're on. We're not here to be professionals. We're here to kind of kick back, relax, and everyone just kind of get to know each other. So I just want to put that out there. But just me like thinking Joel said like garbage. So I was like, he wouldn't be on the list of anything ever. Like, he's going down in the Hall of Fame of nothing. I'm sorry. Sorry, Joel. Like, I don't know you, but I really don't want to either.
Yeah, but like, so
I would give Magoo more than Joel. Because Magoo had like a flavor sound to him.
Like, but I would classify Magoo as like a party rapper. He would be like someone that would have rap at like my cookout, so everybody could be entertained. Like, if I want to hear some significant bars that makes me make the stink face, I wouldn't rely on Magoo for that.
You would rely on Joel for that?
He's done it.
Oh gosh, I can't remember one song.
Not on like mainly not on mainstream songs, but on like the mixtape level. Like when you're like mixtape rapping, most of the time it's supposed to come off the top of the dome, but some cats come in there with writtens, but some of those writtens be really, really good. So on a mixtape level, like mixtape Joel Santana, it's few people that I would think could be on par with mixtape Joel Santana. Now, mainstream song Joel Santana, okay, but mixtape Joel's, that man is dangerous.
So I don't really categorize my rap as that like a specific subset of anything. I just think of like category of work that I'm familiar with. Now, I can't say that I'm familiar with all of Joel. I can't say that I'm familiar with any of Joel Santana's, which is the reason why I don't consider him good. Like, to me, when I think of like just the level of artistry, rap-wise, it's always going to just be Jay-Z. And I'm going to hold most people to that kind of tier of accountability because from the beginning, I said for me, rap is an ideal of this culture that's been established and how I've experienced that. And the only person who's really ever satisfied that sort of feel for me has been Jay-Z. So I can't ever bar him up with like a Joel. Like, I can't even do that. Like, it's going to make my weekend like just shitty.
I wouldn't even do that. I'm a fan of his. I like that. Like that. That's like a legendary. That's like a legendary level plateau that few people are able to reach. Whether it's lyrically, mogul wise, philanthropist wise. There's like.
Well, I'm just talking about rap. I'm not talking about how we look at rap as like as far as money producers. Joel's and Jay-Z been around for the same amount of time, so. If we look at it, but Jay been out. But if we look at when we started like to introduce rap at our age, like when we really started like 96, I would say 90. I would say definitely 94 is when I really started getting into like rap. When I really knew who Nas was. When I really knew who like the Lost Boys was. So if I look at like that time, Joel definitely is older than me, and I remember him like balling. Like I remember those days, and he was there. And I also remember that time, and it was kind of like Jay-Z. It was the Lost Boys. It was Nas. It was everyone. So they were definitely in the mix. Okay. So it's just who you are and how you stand out. Jay earned his stripes. Ain't nobody give Jay his stripes. Jay came from the bottom and went to level. So Joel, I think, had the same opportunity. It was rap, right? So it was just who had the bars, who was out there, who wanted it. Like someone told me the other day something about like Nas didn't want to start him. He wanted to give it to Jay-Z. No, he didn't. Like, that's not true. Everybody wanted to be number one.
Yeah.
Like,
case in point, DJ Khaled. We was the best for a while, and then he got beat out by Tyler the Creator. Let's just say he didn't take it.
And before him, it was Funk Master Flex.
Yeah, it was Funk Flex.
Yeah,
it was
Funk Flex. Everybody paid their dues. Like, it wasn't like how it is now, where you can just be whatever you want just based on likes or that. Like, to me, that I'm not saying that that's not a great way to be marketed and to earn success. It is, but like and I don't want to say I'm from this era, like I'm old head, but I'm just saying, like, to me, like when we stood out, we wanted to see who was the best, who was excellent, who stood out of all the rest. Not everybody got an award. Everybody can't get an award. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Everybody has to earn, like, because then what's the level of, like, how do you measure what's earned? Everybody can't have the same thing. Like, because then what are you incentivized to work for?
Sure, especially if everything was like handed to you.
Yeah, I mean, we're like, as we said in the beginning, like hip hop, it was so important because there was a certain level of expectation. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, that versus was good." That shit was trash. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I saw Cyphers in the Hood harder than that shit. I'm sorry. On Bergen.
Yeah, we all see.
Real, I'm sorry. Like that shit was trash, and I'm not giving. And Jada, and I'm not saying Jada Kiss is trash, and I'm not saying any of the rappers that were on stage trash. The showcase to me was trash. I've seen Jada in almost every light better than that one. I'm sorry, guys, and I know people probably gonna kill me for this, but I'll take the kill shot because that shit was not homage to hip hop, in my opinion.
Fair choice, fair assessment, so to say. All right, so let's move on to our next topic, and this one is a topic of interest. Abusers and why they abuse, and do they ever change?
So this topic came like so out of this world. So we kind of wanted to start the first show off with kind of just like something fun and light to talk about before we get into like the crux of it. And so around Christmas time, my brother and I, we were driving to like a place we were staying for the family for Christmas, and we just started talking about like things that we had never talked about. And one came up, like during COVID, I had dated this guy, and you know, he punched me in the face. Like, it's not funny. I'm not laughing to domestic violence like victims, and I've been one, like he punched me in the face, and I laugh because like it's hard to say something like that, right? And having never experienced any form of abuse, it was really hard to kind of go through that. And then I was finding myself like, well, dag, like everything was great. So if he only didn't do this or if he only didn't do that. And so I started talking to my brother. I was like, yo, do you think that people like with these behaviors can change with therapy and with these kinds of things? And he's basically like, well, you're not going to stick around to find out. So
Exactly.
So we kind of got into a topic that I felt like, well, it was like fascinating to me in a sense because I see on one hand how you can like be overwhelmed with your ability to love someone and then try to like excuse certain behaviors, like because what if it never happens again? Then we really have love. Like we had everything except for this one thing, but that one thing is a really big thing. And for me, I struggle with it because, you know, I look at the idea that I do believe in people and I do believe humanity can change, and I do think that we see representations of good things and people, you know, evolving as humans every single day. But I don't know that the core changes without a significant amount of like help and wanting to do those and to do the work to kind of get to the other side of things. So I'll let my brother touch more on like kind of what he saw in me when we had that conversation.
Okay, well, I was saying basically when you identify certain characteristic traits that they have, like if they have any levels of narcissism or any levels of obsessive control issues or anything like that, people like that are not likely to change. Yes, even though you would want them to change because you would have something special like down the line. It's the fact that they're so dependent on those behaviors that they're not. I've seen it time and time again. No matter how much you want them to change, hell, maybe they even want to change, but it's that need to be like feel like they're in control or they run something or be self-absorbed in their levels of narcissism. They are not going to change. Like no matter how much you want it, they're not. And it's like a cold hard fact, and it sucks. But we can really pull up a statistic. Like literally 90%. It's like a 10% chance.
I wouldn't do statistics unless we had the actual data to back it up, because that could kind of be dangerous getting into.
Yeah.
But I think like basically from reasonable experience and exposure, maybe you can make that assessment. But when we look at everybody on the planet, unless we had the data, I wouldn't want to kind of go down that alley. But I do believe that some people change and others don't. I can't say it because I can't say like to say nobody ever changes, like saying there's good without evil, there's evil without good. Like, you can't recognize one without the other. So I think that there has to have been some maybe documented cases that that might suggest some sort of change, but I don't think any change is possible without help and without recognition. So one, you have to identify the problem.
Keyword, recognizing the problem. See, that right there is something narcissists can't do. They are incapable of recognizing something because to them, nothing is wrong.
And that might be like the overall rule, but I don't know that every single narcissist in the world didn't change. Because I mean, think about it. We don't ever really. I know I can say myself. I've never gone into a relationship with like, oh man, let's catch these red flags of a narcissist. Like, we don't, you know what I mean? Like,
you don't go in with that mindset. Like me personally, like, I'm glad I shed that level of naivety. So now I don't go in with that mindset of let me catch it, but I'll keep mental notes. Like, I'll start seeing certain patterns. I'm like, okay, I'm never going to say anything. I'm just going to be like, all right, bet, this is that. All right, cool. But when it gets to a point where it looks like it's going to go downhill, but like it's going to go to a level where it's going to take me out of who I really am, I'm like, all right, nah, that's a done. We're done.
And I love that we really feel like this in theory. Like, you know, like in theory, I'm a superhero. Like, oh yeah, I don't love anybody. Like, I'm not going down that road. I see my girlfriends do all this stuff until it's me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I see like so many times I've said that's never gonna be me. This is never, like, I just think that when we find certain things, unless we are truly like connected to the center of self and just earth and like, so, and like had no, I don't know how you're at that level to, like, I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general how anyone is like at the level to like kind of when you walk into situations, right, especially like matters of the heart and anything with feelings involved, it's hard to really rationalize them with thought and theory and logic. So when I see behaviors, like, you probably have to hurt me before I think that you're bad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go into the situation like, oh, I'm going to have this little mental note of narcissism, gaslighting, like, because that just wasn't, like, I don't think that that's a realistic thing for me to say I go into any relationships with. I go into relationships with expectation. And the expectation is usually good. Yeah. Right? Because I don't think people are just intentionally bad. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. In therapy, I'm learning it's a mixture.
Like, I actually agree with that. I don't think, like, people are initially bad from when you're, like, initially getting involved with them. It's like parts of their personality slowly leak out. And then they're telling you who they are. But
is it intentional? That's the thing.
That right there, you can't really, like, make a real, like, logical assessment. But even though you can't make an assessment on it, you can make a note of it and remain aware of it.
Are you sure that we can? Because you said that narcissists don't have the ability to change, right? True. So then their behavior couldn't be intentional.
Well, that's only because they believe themselves to never do anything wrong. And, like, everything with a narcissist is your fault. They did everything because of what you did. That's their logic. That's their mindset.
Right. So so they never intentionally did you wrong. Like, if you think something and it's a belief to you, then can you intentionally try to hurt someone? Or are you just being you?
When you're dealing with the madness of narcissism, it's kind of both. It's a little bit of both. It's intentional. And the fact that they don't feel like it's wrong, and I've dealt like not just relationship wise, like friendship wise and everything as well. I've dealt with several, but
are they really wrong? Because think about it. If this is just who I am, it's really hard to change who a person is. Yeah. So if that's just who they are, can they really intentionally be trying to hurt a person, or that's just who they are as a character, as a rule?
True in theory, but you don't have to stick around to find out. You don't have to assess the hurt to come up with the deduction whether they're doing it intentionally. And that's the hardest, and that's like the hardest part for some people. Coming up, like having that level of strength and sticking to it. See, that was one of my issues. Like I let motherfuckers do shit like that all the time, and I'm like, nah, they didn't mean it. But it comes a time where something will just click, and you'll be like, I don't have to put up with this shit. I do better, so I deserve better. And once you set that mindset in stone, you won't have to. You won't feel like you need to deal with any of that. If it's ever a situation where someone is not treating you the way they would want you to treat them, you don't have to sit there and tolerate
what
that
you're
shit.
saying. So you're saying someone's not treating you the way that you should treat them, and this is just, I'm just playing devil's advocate, guys. Like again, none of this is etched in stone. It's just conversation. So we don't want anyone to think like this is anything other than just thoughts. You said the way that they want to. If somebody let's say someone who intentionally sets out to meet a person to like use them for what they have and to like take things from them.
Okay.
With an intentional state. Like, so they kind of set out to meet a certain type of person who they feel may be more vulnerable to being misled. Okay. Right? So they look for maybe a bigger girl, or maybe like someone who they may feel like, whatever that characteristic may be. I feel like when someone sets out to intentionally hurt someone, that's when it's bad. But I think if someone is just displaying who they are, I don't know if that's bad. Like, if you can't deal with it, obviously leave. Don't let a person hurt you. If that's not like kind of, because hurt is subjective. Hurt is to who it victimizes, right? True. We all look at it differently. And so I just think that we really have to be true about our expectations. So could I live with someone hitting me? An idea of not knowing if they would be able to do it again, or just believing that they will change. Well, I didn't believe they would do something like that in the beginning. So I can't calculate the probability enough to say they'll never do it again. So can I live that life? I couldn't. So no matter what, yes, I'm going to pull from my friends, pull from my family, because I never, experienced anything like that. So you have to pull from your circle, your peer group, and you can't be afraid to talk about like feelings and things and how they impact you and the people around you. But if you say you're going to do, like when you say you're going to leave, I think it's absolutely necessary to leave in a domestic situation or don't involve anybody.
Facts. Like literally, like stand firm on that position, because the moment you start questioning and what ifs start popping up, you're going to remain vulnerable to that situation. And I'm not religious, but God forbid, you get hospitalized from some shit like that. You don't want to be hospitalized before you get the message. Like, fuck this shit. This is a dub. And for the listeners out there, if any of you going through anything like that, like any form of abuse, whether it's emotional, psychological, or the worst, physical, get help. Like, because the first thing, like cats who abuse, they're going to want you to be isolated, and they're going to want you to feel alone and make you feel like you don't have no options or anything like that. Or some of them play the whole, the Hoodville card. Oh, you're going to leave me like everyone else have. You're damn right. You totally should. And if you're in any situation like that, they got hotlines, they got signals you can do if you're on social media to seek help. Do it. Don't be afraid. Do it. And I know, like, it's easy for me to sit up here and say this, but I'm saying it for the benefit of you. You don't want to be hospitalized before you realize that you should have got out of that situation a long time ago.
Or I just think you don't want to be hit. Like, you don't want to change your outlook on life. Like, if you believe in love and all these kind of things with it, just kind of like when you see something that's dangerous, just say something if you can. And, again, we're not judging anyone. If you have any issues, any safety concerns, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's SAFE, 1-800-799-SAFE. Give them a call with any concerns, 24/7. So, God dang it. Oh. Okay. All right, guys.
All right, so this was an interesting view for our very first podcast. I was looking to like elaborate further and try to like push the time a little bit longer, but I didn't know like if you're talking about a subject that the time really does fly. And it doesn't have to the atmosphere of a podcast don't have to be ultra long, because I realize like the longer it is, the less likely the audience is going to be interested.
And that's kind of why we don't stay on topic. So we kind of just give you kind of thoughts and then just kind of let you think about it. It's the end of the week. It's the end of the work week. We have hopefully like the weekend coming up. And we just wanted something like, we didn't show faces. We just wanted like an audio kind of thing where we kind of just talk and just provoke kind of thinking for people, especially in this climate. Like, what can we do to kind of feel alone together? Like, what can we do to kind of reconnect to humanity and each other as human beings? So how can we do that? And I felt like this was the most effective way, and it was a way that my brother and I connected. So I kind of really like the idea of kind of us doing this on a weekly basis. And so we said, hey, let's just get together and do it, and we'll see how it goes. Like, I hope people tune in, and I hope you guys give us ideas for topics, and we kind of just go to the next way. I know I'm going to get killed for this Jadakiss versus. I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. Come with all you got, because I'm hip-hop, okay? So we ready.
No pitchforks and torches.
Yeah, and no coffins, please.
Awesome!
All right, guys. So we're going to leave our link in the bio, subscribe to our channel, and hopefully next Friday we can come back with some interesting topics for you guys. I'm going to let my brother close the show.
All right,
the cereal soup, people.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope we were able to entertain you, and we will see you again next week. Thanks for listening.
Bars.
Really make it out of